Hi Will, so basically I'm making a video just to go through what I've done. Um, so I can call the endpoint now, and it doesn't do anything different to what you did. It's just been I've just rearranged things slightly. It's basically doing the same. You'll see here you're getting a 200 back. This is a request data structure that I output, and this data structure here is a global API data structure. So I basically set an API data structure up that's going to be available to all our functions that we create. So if I you can see I've written a Woo ERP Connect register post, and that basically is in, bear with me a sec, got to find my SciChem website. So the Connect register post basically calls the new API with a slash register, so there's no index in there now. Basically, it's just passing the same payload and stuff that you do. But basically, uh, we RP Connect. So that's gonna how this is gonna run is it's actually gonna call um, the API 3, and it's gonna there's an htaccess rule that basically passes everything to public. The idea is that this and this, no one can actually run anything directly against this. It's for security. It's just recommended. Well, it was part of some training I did. So that's going to run everything in public, and this htaccess file is going to pass everything on to the index file in here. So that's how we get around the actual calling it via index.php. This entry point here is basically going to load up the application, and the application's been split. There's a config file here which has got all the config. I've split it out from the other config because we might want to move the app, and it be separate to the actual the user management stuff. So um, basically I've created a load of libraries, and the functions are going to go in the functions file. But basically what happens is the request comes in, it loads all these, it basically does a require on these, so it's just loading them up, and then basically the index file is going to get the request, so it gets a request data structure back. So there's a request function here. What I've done is I've tried to put the name of the library at the beginning of the functions so that we know where they're kind of going to sit. I don't know if that's a naming convention you're happy to with, or but it just basically allows us to split things out and hopefully know where functions are going to sit. Um, so uh, it gets the request, and then it basically routes the request. So that's all that index file does. So it's like basically making a call into the application router once it's loaded the application. So the router basically has received the request, and it's going to set what we're actually doing here is we're setting up a global API data structure that's going to be passed down into all of our functions. So our functions basically won't need to worry about how to get the data and stuff. They're just going to get a data structure. Um, so the first thing I do is I check if the request has a is like the first parameter, which is the service. Um, if it has, get it, and then what I do is I actually unset it, so the rest of the parameters on the request URL are actually real parameters. Um, if that isn't set, I'm just going to call a response set send response with a 500 and please pass the function. I think you've actually got something that in yours that actually reports something out, so I could put that in there, but I've just basically sending that back if there's nothing sent in. So I'm going to have to go on to another recording in a minute, so because my time is running out. I'll go on to the rest of the router and what it does. But the idea is that we're gonna basically get all the data before and pass it into our functions.